Murray is a city situated on the Wasatch Front in the core of Salt Lake Valley in the U.S. state of Utah. Named for territorial governor Eli Murray, it is the state's 14th largest city. According to the 2010 census, Murray has approximately 46,746 residents. Murray shares borders with Taylorsville, Holiday, South Salt Lake and West Jordan, Utah. Once teeming with heavy industry, Murray's industrial sector now has little trace and has been replaced by major mercantile sectors. Known for its central location in Salt Lake County, Murray has been called the hub of Salt Lake County. Unlike most of its neighboring communities, Murray operates its own police, fire, power, water, library, and parks and recreation departments and has its own school district. While maintaining many of its own services, Murray has one of the lowest city tax rates in the state. Thousands of people each year visit Murray City Park for organized sports and its wooded areas. Murray is home to the Intermountain Medical Center, a huge medical campus that is also Murray's largest employer. Murray has been designated a Tree City, USA since 1977. History: pre-settlement. Before being permanently settled by Mormon pioneers in 1848, the area where Murray City is located was a natural area that served as the seasonal home of Paiute, Shoshone, and Bannock Native American tribes. The tribes camped along local creek banks and stream beds during the migrations. Artifacts of Native American encampments have been located along the Jordan River, including camps near Willow Pond Park. At what was known as the Big Bend of the Jordan River, the Go-Shoot Indians from Skull Valley made the camp. This was made every spring on the way to the hunting ground at the headwaters of the Bear River. On the return in the fall, they also stayed for a week and traded with white settlers. Early settlers recorded that they generally traded buffalo robes, deer skins, dried meat and tallow. A new settlement. Mormon pioneers came into the Salt Lake Valley in 1847. A pioneer group that was called the Mississippi Saints arrived 1 year later and began to develop a scattered settlement in the south end of the valley that fall. The area was distinguished by various names, such as the Mississippi Ward, Cottonwood, Big Cottonwood and South Cottonwood. Written history states that at least 20 families were living in the South Cottonwood area in the 1860s. When the first pioneer families settled in the South Cottonwood area in the fall of 1848, they selected the lower bottom lands along the streams of Little Cottonwood Creek and Big Cottonwood Creek. They found an abundance of grass for the cattle and horses there. It was easy to take the water from the streams for irrigation of farm crops. The higher benchlands were covered with sagebrush and produced very little grass. Because of the labor and difficulty in getting water to them, they were left for later settlement. There was a strip of high benchland, completely surrounded by lowland north of what is now Vine Street and 5600 South Street. Before and after the advent of the pioneers, this land was used by the Ute Indians as a camping ground. This is because water and grass could be obtained on either side of it and enemies could not approach without being seen long before coming to the high ground. This area would become the present-day Murray City Cemetery. The early settlers mutually agreed that no individual should fence or take title to it, but that it should be set aside and considered as belonging to South Cottonwood Ward. In 1853, when teamsters commenced to haul granite rock from Little Cottonwood Canyon to the Salt Lake Temple construction site, a dirt path was made along what is now Vine Street. The east side of the road became a halfway camping ground for the Teamsters. The first building in the Salt Lake Valley outside of Salt Lake City, erected for the purpose of religious and educational instruction, was built on present-day Gordon Lane, and is commemorated with a monument from the Sons of the Utah Pioneers. In 1858, during the so-called Utah War, Albert Sidney Johnston's Army of the Utah Expedition passed through western Murray after camping on the flats above the North Jordan farms. Its large livestock had reportedly ate everything to within an inch of the ground. General Johnston, who was crossing James Winchester's property, advised Winchester to pursue a homestead patent. In 1870, James Winchester entered the first homestead of the entire Intermountain West. The Pony Express traveled through central Murray, along what is now State Street. The Utah Pony Express Station No. 9 was located near present-day 6200 State Street and was called Traveler's Rest, but the accommodations were meager, consisting of a stable and one-room bunkhouse. The overland stagecoach later made use of Traveler's Rest during its period of operation. The Sons of Utah Pioneers erected a monument at 7200 State Street in Midvale commemorating the station. The area remained agricultural until 1869, when a body of ore was found in Park City, Utah, and additional ore deposits were found in Little Cottonwood Canyon. Because of Murray's central location and access to the railroad, the first smelter was built there in 1870, and Murray became home to some of the largest smelters in the region over the next 30 years. The first official post office was established in 1870 as the South Cottonwood Post Office. The area changed over time as the railroad came in, smelting expanded, the territorial road was established, and trolley transportation was developed. A business district also began to develop along the transportation corridor. The Army established Camp Murray in 1885 to house several companies of the 9th Infantry Regiment. The Army camp was meant to help protect the railroad and provide training. The short-lived camp's most notable action was when General Alexander McDowell McCook and 6 divisions of the camp were ordered to escort Chinese nationals out of Evanston, Wyoming, due to the race riots that were happening among miners in Rock Springs, Wyoming. The camp was disbanded in the early 20th century. The city received its present name from the post office, which had officially changed its name from South Cottonwood Post Office to Murray Post Office in 1883, after the Civil War. General Eli Murray, territorial governor of Utah from 1880 to 1886, after a riot and fire were started by a rowdy group of smelter workers in a local saloon. A local newspaper editor began agitating for the settlement to be incorporated. The final incorporation committee drafted a petition in 1901 and created an intense campaign on both sides of the incorporation battle. An incorporation election was held on November 18, 1902. Those in favor won, and C. L. Miller was elected mayor by a margin of 3 votes. Salt Lake County recognized the election results as official on November 25, 1902, and the city was officially recognized as a third-class city by the state of Utah on January 3, 1903. Center of industry. Murray's central location in Salt Lake Valley made it a convenient location for industry. Construction of the Woodhill Brothers smelter in 1869 initiated Murray's industrial history. In 1870, Murray produced the first silver bars smelted in Utah. In 1899, American Smelting and Refining Company was organized by combining the Germania and Hanna smelters. The smelters continued to dominate the local economy until the close of the ASARCO lead smelter in 1949. Business and commercial enterprise prospered along with the smelter industry. Murray's industry would later include a water plant, lighting system, canning factory, flour mills, and brickyards. Many of those employed at the Franklin and Germania smelters were immigrants from Scandinavian countries who had joined the LDS Church in their homeland and moved to Utah. Most spoke little English. The Scandinavian population settled in the area west of State Street and was large enough to hold separate LDS services in the Swedish language. The Scandinavians eventually dispersed, and with the exception of the meeting house, few ethnic reminders remain in this section of Murray. Hill, the industrial workers of the World Labor Activist, came to Murray in 1914 to rally laborers working at the smelters and nearby mines. He was arrested for a double homicide in Salt Lake City while recovering from a gunshot wound at the Murray home of Edward and John S. Elias, that was located on 4800 South and Plum Street, Burgertown, a cluster of homes south of 4800 South Street on Little Cottonwood Creek, was settled by Swiss immigrant Christian Berger prior to the town's industrialization. Simple, small two-room frame houses without paint and running water characterized this side of town. Burgertown quickly became an immigrant enclave, as the population were mainly employees of the smelters. A few original homes remain among modern retail establishments. Murray's industry suffered greatly in the 1930s depression. The smelters began to close in 1931, and major industry had nearly vanished by 1940. Murray was quick to take advantage of various federal projects to compensate for this economic loss. In 2000, to avoid designation as a Superfund site, the landmark ASARCO smelters were imploded, and Intermountain Healthcare purchased the site for its Intermountain Medical Center. As landmarks, the smelters are remembered in Murray City's logos and trademarks. Post-World War II to present. With the demise of heavy industry prior to World War II and the advent of the interstate freeway system in the 1950s, Murray became a major retail hub due to its central location. State Street is dominated by automobile dealerships, where auto magnate Larry H. Miller purchased his first dealership May 1, 1979, as Larry H. Miller Toyota. Fashion Place Mall was constructed in the 1970s. It is now a major mercantile center which saw major renovation and expansion in the first decade of the 21st century. The mall achieved some fame after serial killer Ted Bundy's murder spree temporarily came to an end when he tried to lure Carol Daranch into his car at the mall on November 8, 1974. Daranch fought Bundy, escaped from his car, and survived to testify against him in court. Cottonwood Hospital opened in the 1960s, receiving numerous recognitions. Replaced by Intermountain Medical Center in 2008, it spawned the Orthopedic Specialty Hospital in the 1990s. As part of the construction of the Utah Transit Authority's TRAX light rail line in the 1990s, 3 stations were built in Murray along the primary route. The Fireclair housing project received national recognition for its use of creating development around the Murray North Station as a transit-oriented development. Murray's Fashion Place West Station is the junction for the Red Line light rail spur. In 2012, Frontrunner commuter rail service was extended to the Murray Central Station. In the mid-2000s, people of the census-designated place Cottonwood West petitioned for annexation into Murray, increasing the population by 17,000, nearly one-third more than in the 2000 census. Murray's eastern boundary, along 900 East, was extended as a result of the annexation to Van Winkle Expressway and Highland Drive, along the city borders of Holiday and Cottonwood Heights. Government. Incorporated on January 3, 1903, Murray City initially created a mayor-council form of government. A 1911 state law changed the form of government for cities of the first and second class in Utah from the old council form to the commission form of government. This form of government was reversed in 1981. The city adopted the strong mayor-council form of government, which included an elected mayor and 5 city council members. To ensure staggered terms of the council, an election is held every 2 years for half the council members for 4-year terms. The city provides for most of its own services, including police, fire, power, water, sewer, library, senior center, and parks and recreation. George Husher was mayor of Murray during 1912 to 1915 and was the first socialist elected to a major office in Utah. Murray's citywide elections are now non-partisan races. Murray is located in Utah's 2nd Congressional District, which is represented by Jim Matheson. In the Utah State Senate, Murray falls primarily in the 3rd Utah Senate District, held by Gene Davis, and the 4th Utah Senate District, held by Patricia W. Jones. In the Utah House of Representatives, Murray is primarily located in the 44th House District, represented by Bruce Cutler, and 35th House District, represented by Mark Wheatley. Geography. Topography. According to the United States Census Bureau, the city has a total area of 9.6 square miles, all of it land. Murray is located in the heart of the Salt Lake Valley. The city is nearly built out with a broad mix of commercial, residential, and industrial uses. The topography is generally gentle, sloping westward from the nearby Wasatch mountain range toward the Jordan River, which is the terminal river feature in the Salt Lake Valley. Murray's average altitude is approximately 1,300 meters above sea level, with the highest variation located near the border of Cottonwood Heights and lowest variation along the Jordan River near 4,500 South Street. Lying at the base of the Wasatch Mountains, and located approximately 3 miles to the east of Murray in neighboring Holiday, is the Wasatch Fault. Liquefaction is a particular danger to Murray because of the close proximity of the Wasatch Fault. Soil liquefaction potential, according to the Utah Geological Survey, estimates that the majority of Murray City is in either high or moderate liquefaction zones. City policies are in place to minimize the potential impacts on structures. Hydrology. The Jordan River is the largest water feature within Murray. It traverses the western edge of Murray, where it eventually reaches the Great Salt Lake. Murray administers a trail and green area that borders the river through the whole city. Big Cottonwood and Little Cottonwood Creeks join the Jordan River within Murray city boundaries, following routes between properties, along streets, and through parks and open spaces. Significant wetlands adjoin the river and these 2 creeks. Murray contains only small lakes. Willow Pond and Turner Pond are the largest natural lakes within the city limits. Willow Pond is the only lake that permits public access and is stocked with fish. Several man-made lakes have been created in the Lynn-Pett Murray Parkway and Mick Riley golf courses. Other lakes are small and are contained within Murray's wetland areas. Climate. Education. Primary and secondary schools. The Murray City School District was created on January 1, 1906. It has 10 schools, 7 elementaries, 2 middle schools, and 1 senior high school. An alternative high school was closed in 2006. Murray High School is a 4A school in Utah's 5-division high school sports leagues. It was used in the High School Musical movie series for the Walt Disney Company. When residents on the eastern boundary of Murray annexed themselves into the city in 2004, 3 Granite School District schools were included: Cottonwood High School, Twin Peaks Elementary, and Woodstock Elementary School. No school district boundaries were changed due to this annexation. Murray has one major private school, Mount Vernon Academy, founded in 1975. It is fully accredited by the Northwest Association of Schools and Colleges. Mount Vernon offers a complete educational program for grades pre-K through 12. Higher education. Murray has satellite campuses of the University of Utah and Utah State University. Several private colleges have campuses in Murray. University of Phoenix, Stevens Henager College, Webster University and Eagle Gate College. Parks and recreation. Murray took advantage of various federal projects during the Great Depression to develop its park system. The city actively sought federal money to refurbish its 22-acre Murray City Park and buildings and to purchase an additional 12 acres of fairgrounds. By 1939, Murray was the site of the annual Salt Lake County Fair. The county fair relocated from Murray Park, and the fair buildings were replaced by a community recreation facility called the Park Center, with indoor swimming pools, indoor track, exercise facilities and gymnasium. Murray Park's Ken Price Ballpark hosted the 2009 Babe Ruth League World Series and the 2012 Babe Ruth League World Series. Murray Park is adjacent to the Salt Lake County Ice Center that was utilized as a practice venue during the 2002 Olympic Winter Games. There are several neighborhood parks, as well as the substantial Jordan River Parkway, a park system of natural trails along the Jordan River that includes pedestrian and equestrian trails, picnic areas, and canoe launch. The trails connect several significant city parks of Winchester, Walden Park, Germania Park, and Arrowhead. The parkway also has the Kennecott Nature Center, an environmental education center that is utilized by school districts. Wheeler Historic Farm is located in Murray. Operated by Salt Lake County, the farm is a restoration of Henry J. Wheeler's turn of the 20th century dairy farm. The farm presents to the public the history of Utah family agriculture and rural lifestyle from 1890 to 1920, and gives historic demonstrations and exhibits. Parks and recreation facilities in Murray. Salt Lake County managed facilities. McRiley Golf Course. 2 courses include an executive and par 3 course. Salt Lake County Ice Center, ice skating and hockey. Jordan River Parkway Natural Trail and equestrian paths. Woodstock Meadows Park Natural Area, Pavilion and Playground. Wheeler Historic Farm Historical Park and Natural Area. Riverview Park Tennis, Shuffleboard, Horseshoe Pits Baseball Complex. Murray City Managed Facilities Park Center Indoor Pool, Basketball Courts, Weight Room, Spin Room, Track. Murray Aquatics Center Outdoor Pool. L. Clark Cushing Heritage Center Recreation Center for Senior Citizens. Linpet Murray Parkway Golf Course 18-hole executive course. Murray City Park Baseball Stadium, Softball Stadium, Soccer, Rugby, Arboretum, Amphitheater, Playgrounds. Arrowhead Park Picnic Area and Trailhead. Germania Park Outdoor Basketball, Soccer, Playground. Grant Park Baseball Complex, Playgrounds. Hidden Village Park Tennis, Soccer and Playground. Southwood Park Tennis, Playground. Walden Park Canoe Launch, Playground. Willow Pond Park Fishing, Baseball, Soccer, Playgrounds. Winchester Park Canoe Launch, Natural Area, Playground. Sports, ice skating and hockey. For the 2002-19 Winter Olympiad in Salt Lake City, the Salt Lake County Ice Center was a practice venue, primarily for women's hockey, and hosted a preliminary game between Germany and Kazakhstan. The U.S. Figure Skating sanctions the facility and its figure skating lessons. USA Hockey hosts an adult league that utilizes the facility. Youth and beginner hockey lessons are offered. Rugby. The Murray Park Rugby Stadium has hosted USA Rugby's National High School Championships. The Highland Rugby Club, one of the most nationally successful high school rugby programs, is based there. Utah Rugby Football Union, an affiliate of the Pacific Coast Rugby Football Union, sanctions most semi-professional, adult, collegiate, and high school clubs that use the field. In June 2012, the stadium hosted the 2012 IRB Junior World Rugby Trophy. Baseball. In 1914, Murray had its own professional baseball team called the Murray Infants, which was part of the Union Association League. The team was managed by Cliff Blankenship, a former Cincinnati Reds and Washington Senators player. Notable players include Ike Caveney, who was called up to play in the Cincinnati Reds, and Mickey Shader, that later managed a team in the Reds. Baseball farm system. The team folded in 1914 with the collapse of the league. In August 2009, Murray City hosted its first 13-year-old Babe Ruth League World Series. All World Series games were played at the 3,000-seat Kent Price Ballpark, home field to Murray High School baseball team and next to Murray City Park. Adult, high school and youth leagues use the facility that is sanctioned by the Murray City Parks and Recreation Department. Murray hosted the 14-year-old Babe Ruth League World Series in 2012. Basketball. When the Utah Jazz first located to Utah in 1979, the sport's small fitness center was reserved as a practice facility for visiting teams, including notable players Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. The Jazz later constructed its own practice center. Utah Jazz players hold basketball clinics and camps for youth at the Murray Park Center. Murray's adult and youth basketball leagues are sanctioned by the Murray City Parks and Recreation Department. Soccer. Murray was one of 3 final candidates to be the home of the Real Salt Lake soccer team. The stadium was awarded to Sandy, Utah. Sanctioned by the Murray Parks and Recreation Department, adult and youth leagues play on the numerous soccer fields. The department also has a small soccer stadium located in Willow Pond Park. The U.S. Youth Soccer Association sanctions games that are played there. Golf. The Murray Parkway Golf Course has been rated among the top 25 golf courses in Utah. It has hosted events for the Utah State Amateur Championship of the Utah Golf Association. Mick Riley Golf Course also has hosted Utah State Amateur events. Boxing. While Murray no longer has a boxing venue, it did host a number of championship fights in the early part of the 20th century. Most notable was boxing legend Jack Dempsey's only defeat, due to a knockout, at the Murray Fire Hall. Dempsey was knocked out by fireman Jim Flynn on February 13, 1917. Many speculated that Dempsey may have thrown the fight as he was knocked out in the first round, but witnesses stated he was on the mat for at least 20 seconds. 1 year earlier, Dempsey defeated the boxer young Hector, who retired from the fight at the same location. Murray hosted the 1913 welterweight tournament for the Western United States. Ernest "Cyclone" Wright won the welterweight championship of the Western States. He was also a member of Murray's first volunteer fire department. Library. Murray's library exists outside the Salt Lake County Library System, with which it has a lending agreement along with the Salt Lake City Library System. The library started as one of the Carnegie Libraries and came into existence on January 6, 1911. Murray would create an additional small library along with this one. In 1992, Murray consolidated its 2 libraries into a new center that would permit it to have more books, include a small amphitheater for children, study spaces, and conference rooms. The historic Carnegie Building on Vine Street would be preserved as a building for Mount Vernon Academy and be part of the Murray Downtown Historic District. The new library was further renovated in 2008, adding significant electronic media resources and Wi-Fi access throughout the building. It offers several reading clubs and children activities. In 2008 it created its Desert Voices author series that brings local and regional authors to discuss the books.